Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's the June 1st, 2023 meeting of the Rotary Club of Des Moines. I'm President Matt Busick, and I'm pleased to have all of you here. It's great energy in the room. I'm especially excited about today's program. We get to be introduced to 10 new members. So we've got a lot to pack into the next hour or so. But I want to begin by welcoming Bud Hockenberg. But if you could stand and give everybody a wave. Bud is here, Bud is a partner at Coppola, Carroll, and Hockenberg law firm. And here is a guest of Marnie, who is one of our newest members, and Marnie's dad. Coming up on Father's Day, so make sure you treat him well. It's tumbler time. We ask members to go and have a green dollar sign and a badge to contribute a suggested, what?
I forgot it now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here it is.
You're right. Oh, my bad entirely. Marcia Dashko, could you please stand and be welcomed by the Rotary Club of Des Moines? Marcia is here from Santa Clara, California. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It's good to have you, and I apologize for missing that. It's tumbler time. If you could please donate $5 in cash due to inflation. Yes, Mike, it is. See, what happens is when you forget your hearing aids, everybody can hear you. No, anyway, yeah, $5, please. Thank you for supporting the Rotary Club of Des Moines Foundation. Next is Where in the World Have I Been? And Scott Bennett from family took me to Vicksburg, Mississippi. Had a lot of fun introducing me around town in Vicksburg. Thank you, Scott. If you're planning an excursion or trip, please take me along. We only have 3 weeks left to take me on your trips, and you can check out Flat Mats or Flat Mats on the Stick through the Rotary Club of Des Moines office in Kitty. Okay, we're going to get to our program now. I'll be inviting Randy Worth to the podium to provide our moment of inspiration, followed by the pledge and four-way test. And then, of course, greet your fellow guests and Rotarians. And then Ian McFarland will be here to introduce our new guests, our new members. Okay, Randy.
Someday I'll get to the level of Skeets. Thank you, President Mann. To inspire. I don't know if I do or not. But to inspire or to be an inspiration is to influence somebody or someone, something, to maybe do something, to give them an idea, to create. And so thinking about that, I think, well, that's what we do around these tables every meeting. Whether we're a seasoned member or a new member, we exchange ideas and thoughts, personal things, without judgment, without any of that. And we look forward to that dialogue. It just comes, to me, it just comes natural. And it's encouraging to go through that. So what we do around these tables is influenced or influences our four-way test. And what we do in this room helps us when we get out there to give and receive respect. And now, if you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Briefly, meet and greet. Hi, welcome.
Looking forward to it.
I'm doing well. How are you? Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. All right, everybody, that's the floor.
Thank you, Bob. It's my town crier. Hello, fellow Rotarians, and good afternoon. I am back to introduce you to 10 new members of our club. I think you will be absolutely blown away by how talented, accomplished, and interesting they all are. I know I was when I first read their introduction forms, and it is truly my honor to introduce them to you. So, without further ado, and because Matt likes to keep the trains running on time, first up is Chaz Allen. Chaz is the current executive director of the Iowa Utility Association. He is a former Iowa State Senator, and he was the mayor of Newton from 2004 to 2012. He has been married to his wife, Terry, for 26 years. Did I get that wrong?
That's right.
Oh. He is married to Terry, 26 years. They have 2 daughters, Morgan and Madeline. And now, in honor of the former mayor, I thought I'd start out with a fun fact about the city of Newton. I'm not from Iowa, as you know, and I had assumed that Newton was named after the famed English mathematician Sir Isaac Newton, but that is not correct. In fact, Newton is named for Revolutionary War soldier John Newton, and Jasper County is named for his comrade, William Jasper, neither of whom has any connection to Iowa. This Newton-Jasper naming convention was common in the 1800s due to a best-selling book about Newton and Jasper's commanding officer, Marion Francis, who was also known as the Swamp Fox. So there are actually 28 cities or counties in the U.S. with the name Newton or a variation thereof, and a great many of them have a related city or county named Jasper. So, moving on, we asked Chaz our usual questions, starting with what we would find him doing on a free day. He responded that he would take the doors off of his Jeep and drive around Australia via either the northern or southern route. And we then asked Chad where he would like to travel back to, and he said San Pedro, Belize, to dive the Great Blue Hole. If you haven't seen this thing, and I hadn't before I read his response, definitely Google it. It is otherworldly. It is 1,000 feet across, it is 400 feet deep, and it is perfectly circular. It used to be a cave on land before the melting ice caps overtook it 14,000 years ago, and now it is the entrance to an underwater cave system and reef. But don't worry, Chaz is well positioned to take this trip because his surprising talent or skill is that he is both underwater rescue and recovery certified, and he has his commercial driver's license. Next, we asked Chaz what book he would like to have on a deserted island, and for those of you keeping score at home, he is officially vote number 4 for the Bible. And lastly, we asked Chaz what's the best advice he's ever been given, and he actually had 3 answers. First, do what you're afraid to do, like dive the great big blue hole. Second, if they're bringing the issue to you, it's important to them. And last, if everything has been said, not everyone has to say it. Let's extend a very warm welcome to Chaz Allen.
Well, it's dangerous to give this to me as a former elected official. I can go on and on and on. But I was married when I left this morning. I tell everybody that when they bring up my marriage. I was married when I left. Something changed. You got to tell me what's going on. I've been trying to get divorced for 26 years. So I've been unsuccessful at that. Well, anyway, I want to thank you guys for allowing me to do this. I was in Rotary for 10 or 12 years in Newton. We had a big Rotary club at one time, and then it shriveled down when Maytag left and all that. And then I moved to Des Moines, and talked to a few people here, and they suggested come do this. And I'm glad I did, and I appreciate the invite and the acceptance. So thank you.
we have Josh Jeniser. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Jeniser, my apologies. Josh Jeniser. Josh is a national account manager at Converge One. He is married to his wife, Michelle, who is an artist and a user experience designer. They have a 5-year-old daughter named Mabel. We asked Josh what we would find him doing on a free day, and I don't know if Josh is an introvert, but I am one, and I absolutely loved his response. He's keeping it very low-key. He's gonna go to the gym, he's gonna go to lunch at Star Bar, and then he's gonna go to a movie. So, I love that. Josh's surprising skill is mixology, which I feel we should definitely leverage as a group here at some point. And if Josh were on a deserted island with only one book, it would be American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I was not familiar with this book, so I looked it up, and it is wild. I'm just gonna read you a tiny summary of the Wikipedia article because it's crazy. Okay, the protagonist is named Shadow. On the same day that Shadow gets out of prison, his wife and his best friend are killed in a car accident, and he finds out that they've been having an affair while he's been in prison. So he takes a job as a bodyguard for a con man named Mr. Wednesday. And then in his capacity as a bodyguard, he meets a leprechaun who gives him a golden coin. It's magical. He tosses it into his dead wife's grave at her funeral, and he inadvertently brings her back to life as a semi-living revenant. So, now, I don't want to cause any fights, but I checked, and the Des Moines Public Library has one copy of this book, and it is currently on the shelf, so may the odds be ever in your favor. Next, we asked Josh where he has traveled to that he can't wait to go back to, and he said Seville, Spain. Fun fact about Seville is that it is both the namesake of the bitter Seville orange, which Spain exports to Britain to be turned into marmalade, as well as the namesake of the Cadillac Seville, which, I apologize if there's any fans out there, it is an atrocious looking car that GM manufactured in Iran from 1970 to 1987. Lastly, we asked Josh about the best advice he's ever been given, and he said, it's okay to say, I don't know. It personally took me a while to learn that one, so I appreciate that. Please join me in welcoming Josh Jeniser.
The book's a lot more serious than it sounds. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been a great pleasure this past year to be a part of these meetings and be a part of this community. And thank you just a lot for having me and inviting me.
All right, next up is Alex Grasso. Alex is an attorney with Hopkinson, Huebner, and Des Moines. He credits his professional success to fellow Rotarian Abai Nadi Parem. I don't know if Abai is here. Is he here? No, not here today. Alex got his start at the firm Cartwright, Drucker, and Ryden in Marshalltown. He is married to his lovely wife, Kelsey, who is a photographer, and they are parents to Julia, who is 10, and Graham, who is 8. They also have a fur baby, a golden doodle named Goldie. Bit on the nose, Alex. Alex is a graduate of Johnson High School, go Dragons, Baylor University, and Iowa Law School. He studied at Alliance Française in Paris. Fun fact, Alliance Française was founded by Louis Pasteur and Jules Verne. Seems like an odd couple, in the 1880s. And they now teach more than 11,000 students per year French language and culture. In the interest of full disclosure, I also did a study abroad program in France. I came out speaking 0 French, so I'm sure my parents consider that an excellent use of their money. Alex, if you want to teach me French, that remains a bucket list item for me. I don't know any French either. My parents will be relieved to hear that. On a free day, we would find Alex riding his bike or playing guitar. Guitar is also Alex's special talent, and he included it as one of his favorite pieces of advice, which was, when playing music, try to make simple music sound complicated and complicated music sound simple. Alex also had one more piece of advice, which spoke to me personally, which is that he wished he had read the fine print when he took out his law school loans. As someone who is still also writing that check every month, you have my sympathies. We asked Alex where he would like to travel back to, and he said that he and his family regularly take a trip to Miramar Beach, Florida on the Gulf Shores. and he described it as magical and relaxing. But I looked up how long it takes to drive there, and because at first I wasn't sure that the juice is worth the squeeze, because I've spent 17 hours each way in a car with 2 children, and I don't know, that's a tough call. But then I looked at the photos, and they call it the Emerald Coast because it is absolutely gorgeous green water, white sands made out of pure quartz. It's really magical, so I think that was an apt description. Lastly, we asked Alex what book he would like to have on a deserted island, and he said something by John Grisham. I happen to know that there is a John Grisham novel called The Whistlers, which is set in part on the Emerald Coast, so that seems like the perfect one for Alex. Please join me in welcoming Alex Grasso.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, everyone. I do mean seriously that I owe a lot in my professional life to fellow Rotarian Abai in the Deep Room. So if you folks ever do see him at a Rotary meeting, make sure you tell him thank you on my behalf if I'm not here. I really enjoyed serving on the scholarship committee that Scott Bennett chaired. That was a really rewarding experience, and I'm just very grateful for the opportunity when I have the time to come to Rotary. So thank you all.
Next we have Marnie Hockenberg. Marnie is a Des Moines native, but she lived in Minneapolis until just 3 years ago. While in Minneapolis, Marnie founded an executive search and outplacement firm, as well as creating a networking group for manufacturing professionals called Gears and Gadgets. Marnie's work history also includes time as a tour guide in both Israel and New Orleans, which is also where Marnie would travel back to if given the chance. Specifically, she would travel back to the French Quarter Festival, which is a free annual music festival held every April in the French Quarter. It was attended by more than 875,000 people in 2023, so I'm sure Marnie will be in good company the next time she makes it out there. In addition to listening to music, Marnie is also one of the botanical blues dancers, and she plays the tambourine. I personally don't know anyone else who plays the tambourine, except for the guy from that Bob Dylan song, which I immediately got in my head as soon as I read Marty's horn. You know, the, hey, Mr. Tambourine Man. I'm not a singer. Turns out that guy was named Bruce Langhorne. He was a violin prodigy until he blew off 2 of his fingertips with a homemade firework at the age of 12. He subsequently told his distraught mother, quote, "Well, at least I don't have to practice the violin now." Always the optimist. Instead, he took up the tambourine, and the rest is history. We asked Marnie about the best advice she's ever been given, and she cited a Bud-ism from her dad, Bud Hockenberg, and he says, "Don't fall in love with your successes, and don't obsess about your failures." I loved that she calls this a Bud-ism because we have similar Bruce-isms in our family from my dad, but they all relate to baseball, and most of them he stole from Yogi Berra, so this is appreciably better advice. Lastly, we asked Marnie what book she would like to have on a deserted island, and she said Boat Building for Dummies, which I regret to inform her is not a real book. But I think with Marnie's musical talents and her networking abilities, she would certainly be able to charm any one of the sea creatures into giving her a ride off the island. Please join me in welcoming Marnie Hockenberg.
Thank you all so much. I have really enjoyed my membership at the Rotary, and I did come back to Des Moines a few years ago. I'm delighted to be back here. It's a spectacular city. Everybody here is so fantastic, so thank you for welcoming me. And I am going to take another piece of my dad's advice. When you are giving a speech, be bold, be brief, be done. Thank you very much.
We have John Jackson. John grew up in Clear Lake, Iowa. He decided it was not cold enough up there, and so he went to college at the University of Minnesota in Duluth. He has been married to his lovely wife, Lisa, at least when you were last home, for 28 years. They have a son, Alec, who is studying to be a DO at DMU. A lot of acronyms there. And they have 2 dogs, Tessa, who is a Maltipoo, and Ava, who is a German wire hair pointer. John shared a lovely story with us about why he joined Rotary, and I'm going to share that with you. John's dad was a Rotary member for 40 years, and John told us that it, quote, feels right to follow him in an organization he felt so strongly about. On a free day, you will find John, and he wrote this in all capital letters, being outside. He loves to hunt, fish, hike, shoot guns, play football. He even loves to do yard work. So John, if you want to have fun in my yard on a free day,
With guns?
come on over. We have some of those too. I have 3 boys, so. Relatedly, John told us that he can't wait to travel back to Colorado. He has a trip planned with friends this October where he plans to hike in the mountains, including a 14er, float fishing, and just general enjoyment. John's chosen book would be Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. The subtitle of this book is How U.S. Navy SEALs Lead and Win. So if the apocalypse happens and I do not go out on the first wave, I'm definitely going to seek out John as my greatest hope for survival. The best advice John has ever been given is customer, unity, profit. Take care of the first 2 and the third will follow, which he credits to Gary Bridgewater, CEO of Baker Group. Yep. Lastly, we asked John about his hidden talents and skills, and they are just so down to earth and relatable. You're gonna love them. He said, I mow straight lines, I grill my wife's favorite salmon, and he's found all sorts of ways to stay busy to, quote, self-medicate his ADD, OCD, and dyslexia. Please join me in welcoming John Jackson.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate being accepted. Like Ann said, Rotary was a pretty cool thing when my boss asked me if I would fill his role. So it's a rare thing for me to be accepted by a unanimous group like this, so I appreciate that. That's it. Thank you.
All right, next up is Chuck Kuba. Chuck.
No booze.
We've heard from you before.
He's back. Chuck is back. Chuck is another fantastic musical talent. He is currently the owner and founder of Iowa Diamond, which was recently declared the best family-owned diamond store in the USA by the Independent Jewelers Association. But before his career as a gemologist and businessman, Chuck was a musician and conductor. He spent his senior year in high school touring with Up With People, and he got to visit several foreign countries as well as our own home here in Des Moines. Now, I was not familiar with Up With People, so of course I looked them up. And I was delighted to find out that they were the first ever non-marching band to perform in the Super Bowl halftime show, which they did during Super Bowl 16 in the Pontiac Silverdome in 1982. Coincidentally, this was the same Super Bowl where John Madden made his first debut as a broadcaster, Super Bowl broadcaster, and it also marked the debut of the telestrator, which is that video marker that they use to draw nonsensical circles and arrows all over the screen. In addition to the musical adventures of his youth, Chuck has continued his career in playing both upright and electric bass professionally. In fact, he was recently asked to play backup to the Eagles when they were in town, but he was out of town and not able to take that gig.
I saved the contract though, just so more people would believe that.
He stores in the diamond vault, right? Chuck also conducts the choir at his temple and plays in a klezmer band.
Yeah.
Say that right, yeah? And a Dixieland band. So, as you can see, when we asked Chuck how he would spend a free day, his response was, "What is a free day?" To the travel question, Chuck responded that he would like to travel to London and to Bratislava, Slovakia, where his family is from. And if Chuck were on a deserted island with only one book, it would be Popular Mechanics How to Build a Boat, which is technically a magazine, but the judges will accept that answer. Lastly, we asked Chuck what's the best advice he's ever been given, and he quoted Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, who said, "Never give up. People usually do when they are at the very cusp of success." And given Chuck's many accomplishments, he clearly took that advice to heart. Please help me in giving a warm welcome to Chuck Kuba.
Raise your hand if you've been in the club for more than 3 years and don't know me. I got accused of getting back because I wanted a free lunch at the meeting for potential new members. My time in Rotary actually started when I was back in high school. I was the vice president of my Interact Club, and carried through on and off for a long time. I was, I think, within 3 months of 10 years perfect attendance when I had to leave for other commitments. But I can't believe that you let me come back in. That was just really nice of you to do that. You shouldn't trust bass players, but there's one type of person, musician, that you should trust less, and that's tenors. Oh, sorry, Sean.
I felt that one down.
Anyway, I really appreciate being back. There's a lot of friends here, and for me, it feels like coming home. Thank you.
I feel like tambourine players are the most trustworthy, right, Marty? Next up is Kashawn Merchant. Kashawn grew up in Ames, but he moved to West Des Moines 3 years ago. He is an only child, and his parents immigrated from Pakistan. His family owns and operates Jimmy John's franchises across central Iowa, and Kashawn is involved in that business as well as being one of the founders of Twin Cedars Bank. He is also a board member for the DMAC Foundation, and he has diverse and numerous hobbies, which you would find him doing on a free day. These include reading, playing guitar, playing chess, watching movies, looking through his telescope and exploring the constellations, and knitting. Kashawn also told us that he would love to travel back to Cuba. He did a cultural exchange program through the State Department in 2013 and would actually like to retire in Havana someday. Kashawn has actually visited 30 different countries, including visiting Pakistan 24 times to visit his family. If Kashawn were stuck on a deserted island with only one book, his practical choice would be SAS Survival Handbook, which is billed as, quote, the ultimate guide to surviving anywhere. Excellent choice, but his favorite choice would be A Short History of Nearly Everything by Bill Bryson.
Yeah.
This isn't going to surprise anyone, but I looked that book up. I read about it, and then I ordered it on Amazon. It was written in 2004. It has 17,000 reviews, 4.5 stars. In the book, Mr. Bryson uses layman's terms and graphic descriptions and humor to lay out really big scientific theories, such as the Big Bang Theory and the development of modern civilization. And I'm really excited to dig in, and I thank Kashawn for the recommendation. Lastly, we asked Kashawn about the best advice he's ever been given, and he said, don't ascribe malice to what could be explained by ignorance. This is, of course, a version of Hanlon's razor, which I had previously heard as never ascribe malice to that which can adequately be explained by stupidity. So I think Kashawn has given me a much more polite version, and I like that. Please join me in welcoming Kashawn Merchant.
Well, thank you to everyone. I've been so blown away by the amount of fraternity that I've seen in Rotary in these last 6 months. I just recently found out I'm a third-generation Rotarian, so I want to continue on with this fraternity. Please don't be a stranger. If you want to grab lunch or coffee sometime, feel free to reach out.
All right, next up is Sam Sodders. Sam attended Iowa State University, and he graduated with a degree in construction engineering. He currently works for Ball Team. He also serves as an ACE mentor for high school students in Waukee Valley and Dowling. ACE is a program that introduces high schoolers to architecture, engineering, and construction. Sam gave me a little bio, And I'm gonna summarize it for you because it's like taking a fun little trip around the Des Moines Metro. So Sam grew up in West Des Moines. He works for the ball team in Urbandale, and he recently moved from Waukee to Beaverdale. He's got all his bases covered. This little tour got me thinking about those funny t-shirts that Raygun does for most of the suburbs. So I'll share a few just for fun. But we'll need to find out which is Sam's favorite since he has connections to all these places. So we've got West Des Moines is the best Des Moines, which, you know, debatable, but fun. Urbandale, nobody knows our boundaries. I feel like that's totally true, but could also apply to Clive. Beaverdale, she's a brick house. Any Commodores fans out there? And lastly, Ankeny, which says, this is my favorite, Ankeny, Washington would have given up on crossing our Delaware. It's funny because it's true. On his free day, Sam would be outside riding his bike on the trails. He also enjoys golf, pickleball, and bags if the weather is nice, and bowling and darts during the winter. His surprise talent is cooking, and if he could travel back somewhere, it would be to repeat a three-week trip he took to Europe with his friends after college graduation. We asked Sam for the best advice he's ever been given, and he said, "Life's a garden, dig it," which, if I'm not mistaken, is a quote from the 2001 comedy Joe Dirt, starring David Spade, and has since spawned many, many memes, so look that up. And lastly, I'm going to share with you Sam's very clever answer to our question about what book he would bring on a deserted island. His response was a matchbook. Please join me in welcoming Sam Sodders.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, everybody. The matchbook thing probably isn't super well thought out because it will only last me so long. But, and then as far as the shirts go, I'd probably pick the Beaverdale, the brick house shirt, since I live in a brick house now, about 93 years old. But anyway, so I basically spent my whole life in central Iowa. It's kind of easy to take it for granted, but especially after buying a house here and just over the last few years, I've kind of gained more perspective to how awesome it is. So I think, you know, joining a club like this is awesome to meet more of you people in the community and also a good way to give back.
All right, two more. Next up is Tanya Wenzel. Tanya is a Des Moines native and a graduate of Hoover High School. She did her undergrad at the University of Iowa and got her master's at Drake. She is currently the vice president of EMC Insurance Company's Des Moines branch. Tanya and her husband Matt just celebrated their 20th anniversary this past October. Congratulations. They have two teenage boys, Gabe and Luke. We asked Tanya what we would find her doing on a free day, and this is totally a mom answer. She said she would be attending her boys' many, many activities, which include soccer, track, and baseball. And on the rare occasion that she gets a moment to herself, she loves to read a good book. And speaking of good books, if Tanya were stuck on a deserted island with only one book, it would be To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Now I know you guys are probably thinking I'm not much of a reader because I look all these up, but you'll be relieved to know I've read this one. It's actually one of my favorites, and it's the reason I wanted to be a lawyer, so I did not have to look that one up. 2 thumbs up to that choice. Tanya's hidden talent or skill is organizing anything and everything, including messy closets. Don't worry, there's a sign-up sheet on your way out. We asked Tanya where she has traveled to that she would like to go back, and she said Prague. She and her husband went there in 2015, and she calls it a storybook experience. She also recommends the beer. Fun fact, there are 500 breweries in the Czech Republic, and their most widely exported beer is Budweiser, spelled exactly the same. And that Budweiser has been in a legal dispute with the other Budweiser for more than 100 years, since 1907. In fact, if you're interested, there's an entire Wikipedia page dedicated to that trademark dispute. Now, I would have to recuse myself from that debate because I am a graduate of the Anheuser-Busch School of Law in Washington University in St. Louis. That's what it's really called. So I'm probably biased, but I think we know where Tanya stands on this. Lastly, we asked Tanya for the best advice she's ever been given, and she said, always be grateful for what you have, and you'll always be grateful. Well put. Welcome, Tanya. appreciate the applause. I think the real applause should go to Ian for these amazing introductions. I just want to say a special thanks to Steve Jacobs, who reached out and asked me to come and attend a meeting and experience Rotary. The last few branch managers at EMC have been members of Rotary, so I've heard about this organization for decades, and it's great to step into their roles and be a part of this great group. So thank you. All right, last but not least, with a WR name, we have Bill Wright. Bill is a commercial real estate broker and is currently the managing director for CBRE Hubble Commercial in West Des Moines. Bill and his wife Maribeth have 3 adult children. His son Grant works with Bill at CBRE, and his 2 youngest children are teachers. Bill attended Simpson College, where he played tennis. In fact, Bill told us that tennis is his surprising or delightful skill, and that he still plays fairly well for a, quote, old guy. Now, I looked up Bill on Simpson's Tennis Archive Records page, and I'm going to warn everyone here, before you try to take Bill on with a friendly little weekend wager, you're going to get hustled. Bill was an all-time letter winner at Simpson for 3 years in a row, so ye be warned. Now, Bill is from Denison, Iowa. I'm not from Iowa, as you all know by now. I had to look that up. And I found out that there is a very famous actress from Denison. I've seen nodding, so you guys knew this already. I did not know. I was very excited to discover that Donna Reed was born and raised in Denison, Iowa.
I'm a card-carrying member.
That is awesome. She played Mary Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life. And if you're a fan, you can go to Denison and you can see her Academy Award, which is housed in the museum there in Denison. So go check it out. And of course, the next most famous Denisonian is our own Bill Wright, obviously.
Not quite.
Now, if Bill has a free day, you will not find him playing tennis, actually. You will find him outdoors. He likes to golf, bike with his wife, and visit the new brew pubs in the metro. And if he were stuck on a deserted island with only one book, he would accept any book in the Mitch Rapp series by author Vince Flynn. Now, I have it on good authority that there is a new Mitch Rapp book coming out on September 12th, 2023. So maybe Bill will get lucky and be shipwrecked after that new one comes out. We asked Bill where he'd like to travel back to, and he said Italy, always a good choice. And lastly, Bill shared with us that the best advice he's ever been given is, if you have bad news for somebody, deliver it as soon as you can. Don't wait and let the thought of delivering the bad news consume you. Definitely good advice. Bad news does not age well, as I'm sure that many of us have discovered at some point in our careers. And on that note, please join me in welcoming our final new member, Bill Wright.
Thank you, Ann. I am a card-carrying member of the Donna Reed Foundation. It was actually Donna Bell Mullinger when she was, Donna Reed was her stage name, but we have there's a performing arts festival in Denison every year. It's a highlight for Denison, obviously. So I am so appreciative to be asked to be part of this. I kind of, as a sponsor, it says Michael's name up there, which is true, but I got to give some kudos to Brittany too, because Brittany was she'd be my co-sponsor. She gracefully introduced me. I was a speaker here for giving a commercial real estate update last fall. And then Matt asked me if I'd like to be a member, and I was pleasantly accepted, so I appreciate it. And again, thank you. It's been a pleasure meeting many of you, and look forward to many years of this. Thank you.
Thank you to all our new members for giving me the honor of doing these introductions. I really appreciate it, and I'm going to turn it back over to Matt.
And thank you so much. I don't know if everybody else can feel it or feels the same way as me, but this Rotary Club is alive and vital. Vital to the community, and my goodness, it's so fun to see all of you. I'm so thankful that you've made the decision to join our club, and I look forward to seeing what you do with your memberships over time. There's certainly a lot of work to be done within context of our committees, within the context of the work that we're trying to do across the metro. So thank you. And Ann, oh my gosh, I think she suggests to me that she's an introvert, but boy, if there's anybody who's overcome being an introvert, it's her. Goodness, well done. I think all of us would agree. Hearing about our new members through your voice has been fantastic, so thanks again for that. Okay, now we need to transition to upcoming meetings. As you consider the following upcoming meetings, think about who you might invite. Behind every one of our new members, somebody sponsored. Took the time to invite them to join us, and that's all of our responsibility. And we constantly have turnover in our club because of lots of reasons. So do be thinking about adding new members all the time. And one great way to get that done is to think about inviting somebody to be your guest at one of our upcoming meetings. Next week, on June 8th, Jeff Plaguey, Iowa Superintendent of Banking, will be here to talk about the state of affairs in banking. Did I get that right? Okay. On June 15th, we did have the Department of Transportation Director originally scheduled for the 15th. Fortunately, ran into a conflict. So Mark has been working diligently with the rest of the committee to find somebody. Are you ready to announce that?
I think we can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You want me to say it?
sure. You've got the mic.
Okay. So, remind me.
Balance autism.
Balance Autism will be here next week. Talk about that organization and the good work they're doing. And then on the 22nd, Doug Bickford from Alzheimer's Association will be here. Very important things going on. Look forward to having you here. The countdown is underway for, this is my last month. And it's been a real pleasure. Yeah. It's been such a pleasure doing this, and it's crazy how quickly time goes. One more time. Alex, Bill, Chaz, Chuck, Kashan, John, Josh, Marty, Sam, Tanya. It's just amazing. 10 new members to the Rotary Club of Des Moines. Thank you for being here. Thanks all of you for taking time out of your day to be here, and we'll see you next week. We're adjourned.